The rain fell hard on the streets of downtown Seattle. It was a cold evening in late November. Maya pulled her thin jacket closer to her body, but it did not help much. The jacket had holes in it. Water was already soaking through to her skin. She sat on the wet sidewalk outside a fancy restaurant. The restaurant had big glass windows. Through those windows, Maya could see people eating expensive food. They were laughing and talking. They looked warm and happy. Maya's stomach made a loud noise. She had not eaten anything in 2 days. Maya was 19 years old. She had been living on the streets for almost 2 years now. Her long dark hair was tied back in a messy ponytail. Her jeans were dirty and torn at the knees. Her sneakers had holes in the bottom. When it rained like this, her feet got wet and cold. She looked down at her hands. They were dirty. Her fingernails were broken, but something about her fingers was different from other homeless people. The tips of her fingers had thick, hard skin on them. These were calluses. They came from years of pressing down on piano keys. Maya tried not to think about pianos anymore. Thinking about her old life only made her sad. It made her remember her mother. It made her remember when she had a home, when she had food to eat every day, when she had a future. A group of well-dressed people walked out of the restaurant. There were 5 of them, 4 men and 1 woman. They all wore expensive suits and dresses. They were laughing about something. One of the men was holding the door open for the others. This man looked like he was in his early 40s. He had short black hair with a little bit of gray at the sides. He wore a dark blue suit that looked like it cost more money than Maya had seen in months. His shoes were shiny and new. He had a confident way of walking, like someone who was used to being in charge. Maya stood up slowly. Her legs were stiff from sitting on the cold ground. She walked toward the group. Her heart was beating fast. She hated doing this. She hated asking for money. But she had no choice. She needed to eat. "Excuse me," Maya said quietly. Her voice was rough. She had not talked to many people in days. "Can you spare some money for food?" Most of the group ignored her. They walked past her like she was invisible. This happened all the time. Maya was used to it. But the man in the blue suit stopped. He turned and looked at her. His eyes were dark brown, almost black. He looked at her face for a moment. Then he looked down at her hands. His eyes stayed on her hands for a few seconds. Maya noticed this and quickly hid her hands behind her back. "What happened to your fingers?" the man asked. His voice was not mean, but it was not friendly either. He sounded curious. Maya was surprised by the question. Most people did not look at her closely enough to notice anything. "Nothing," she said. "They're just dirty." "No," the man said. He stepped closer. "Those are calluses. I've seen calluses like that before. My wife used to have them." He paused. "Do you play an instrument?" Maya felt her chest tighten. She did not want to talk about this. "I used to," she said quietly. "A long time ago." "What instrument?" the man asked. "Piano," Maya whispered. The man's eyebrows went up. He looked surprised. Then he smiled a little. It was not a kind smile. It was the smile of someone who did not believe her. "Piano," he said. "Really?" Maya felt her face get hot. She knew what he was thinking. He thought she was lying. He thought she was just another homeless person making up stories to get money. "Yes, really," she said. Her voice was stronger now. One of the other men in the group called out, "Jonathan, come on! We need to get back to the office." So the man's name was Jonathan. He looked back at his group, then back at Maya. The small smile was still on his face. "I'll tell you what," he said. "Our office building is just 2 blocks from here. There's a grand piano in the lobby. If you can actually play something good, I'll buy you dinner. A real dinner. Whatever you want from that restaurant." Maya stared at him. She could not tell if he was serious or if he was making fun of her. "You're joking," she said. "I never joke about piano," Jonathan said. His smile got a little bigger. "I'm very serious. Come with us. Play something. If it's good, you eat. If you're lying to me, you waste your time and mine. Deal?" Maya's mind was racing. This could be a trick. This could be dangerous. She had learned not to trust people on the streets. But the thought of real food made her stomach hurt with hunger, and the thought of touching a piano again even just once made something inside her heart wake up. "Deal," Maya said. Jonathan nodded. He turned and walked back to his group. Maya followed behind them, keeping a few steps back. She heard the others talking to Jonathan in low voices. "Are you serious right now?" the woman in the group said. You're bringing a homeless girl to the office? It'll take 5 minutes, Jonathan said. I'm curious. This is crazy, another man said. But they all kept walking. Maya followed them through the wet streets. The rain was still falling. Her shoes made squishing sounds with each step. She could feel the water between her toes. The group walked fast. Maya had to hurry to keep up with them. They arrived at a tall building made of glass and steel. It looked very modern and expensive. Gold letters above the door said Chen Technologies, so Jonathan owned a technology company. That explained the expensive suit. Jonathan held the door open. The others went inside. Maya stood outside for a moment, hesitating. This felt unreal. Just 10 minutes ago, she was sitting on a wet sidewalk begging for change. Now she was about to walk into a corporate building. Coming? Jonathan asked. He was still holding the door. Maya took a deep breath and walked inside. The lobby was beautiful. The floor was made of white marble that shined like a mirror. The walls were covered with dark wood panels. Modern art paintings hung on the walls. Everything was clean and bright. The warm air inside felt good after being in the cold rain. And there, in the center of the lobby, sat a grand piano. It was a Steinway, black and shining under the soft lights. Maya's breath caught in her throat. She had not been this close to a piano in almost 2 years. A security guard at the desk looked up when they entered. He saw Maya and his face changed. He stood up, looking concerned. Mr. Chen, he said, clearly wondering why Jonathan had brought a homeless person inside. It's fine, Marcus, Jonathan said, waving his hand. She's with me. Just for a few minutes. The security guard sat back down slowly, but he kept watching Maya carefully. The other people from the restaurant stood near the elevator, waiting. They looked uncomfortable. The woman kept checking her phone. One of the men whispered something to another, and they both shook their heads. Jonathan walked over to the piano and gestured toward it. Well, he said, here's your chance. Show me what you can do. Maya walked slowly toward the piano. Her legs felt weak. Her hands were shaking. She sat down on the bench. The leather seat was soft and smooth. How long had it been since she sat on something this comfortable? She looked down at the keys. They were perfect. Clean and white and cream-colored. Not a single scratch or mark. Her dirty hands hovered over them. She was afraid to touch them. She was afraid she would make them dirty. I should wash my hands first, Maya said quietly. No time for that, Jonathan said. He crossed his arms and leaned against a wall. Play now or the deal is off. Maya felt a flash of anger. He was treating this like a game. Like she was here to entertain him and his friends. But she needed that food. She needed it badly. And she needed to play. She had not realized how much she needed it until this moment. She placed her hands on the keys. They felt cool and smooth under her fingers. She closed her eyes for a moment. In her mind, she went back to a different time. A different place. She was 14 years old, sitting in a practice room at Juilliard. Her mother was in the hallway outside, waiting for her. The world still made sense then. Maya began to play. She chose Chopin's Nocturne in E-flat major, Opus 9, No. 2. It was a piece her mother had loved. A piece Maya had played 1,000 times. Her fingers remembered every note, even after all this time. The first notes floated out into the lobby, soft and gentle. Maya's eyes were still closed. She did not want to see Jonathan's mocking smile. She did not want to see the others looking at her with pity or disgust. She just wanted to play. The music grew louder, more emotional. Maya's fingers moved across the keys like water flowing over stones. Each note was perfect. The melody was sad and beautiful at the same time. It told a story of love and loss. It told Maya's story, even though there were no words. In the lobby, everything had stopped. The security guard was no longer watching with suspicion. He was listening, his mouth slightly open. The business people near the elevator had turned around. They were staring at Maya. The woman had put her phone away. One of the men had tears in his eyes. An employee who was walking through the lobby stopped in his tracks. He stood frozen, listening. Another employee came out of the elevator and paused, drawn by the music. Then another person came. And another. People appeared from hallways and offices. They gathered around, keeping a respectful distance, but all of them listening. Jonathan was no longer leaning casually against the wall. He was standing straight now, his arms at his sides. The mocking smile was completely gone from his face. He was staring at Maya with an expression of shock and something else. Something like recognition, or maybe regret. Maya played the middle section of the piece where the melody became more complex. Her right hand danced over the high keys while her left hand created a gentle rolling rhythm below. The music filled every corner of the lobby. It seemed to make the space feel both larger and more intimate at the same time. She had forgotten everything else now. She was not in a corporate lobby. She was not homeless. She was not hungry or cold or scared. She was just music. She was just the notes flowing from her fingers and the emotions pouring from her heart. The piece moved toward its ending. The melody became softer again, more gentle, like a lullaby, like a mother singing to her child. Maya felt tears on her cheeks, but she did not stop playing. The final notes came slowly, quietly, like whispers in the dark. And then silence. Maya kept her hands on the keys for a moment. She was afraid to open her eyes, afraid to come back to reality. But she had to. Slowly, she lifted her hands and placed them in her lap. She opened her eyes. The lobby was completely silent. At least 20 people had gathered around. They were all staring at her. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. It was so quiet that Maya could hear the rain hitting the windows outside. Then someone started clapping. It was the woman from the restaurant group. Then others joined. The security guard was clapping. The employees were clapping. The sound echoed through the marble lobby. Maya stood up quickly. She felt embarrassed by the attention. She looked at Jonathan. He was not clapping. He was just standing there, staring at her with wide eyes. His face had gone pale. The crowd slowly began to break up. People whispered to each other as they walked away. Maya heard pieces of their conversations. That was incredible. Where did she learn to play like that? I can't believe it. Finally, it was just Maya, Jonathan, and his business associates left in the lobby. Well, and Marcus, the security guard, who was still watching from his desk. Jonathan walked slowly toward Maya. He stopped a few feet away from her. When he spoke, his voice was quiet and serious. The mocking tone was completely gone. "Who are you?" he asked. Maya did not know how to answer that question. Who was she? She used to know. She used to be Maya Rodriguez, piano student at Juilliard Pre-College, daughter of Linda Rodriguez, a girl with a future, but now she was nobody. Just another homeless person on the streets. I'm just someone who used to play piano, Maya said softly. That wasn't just someone who used to play, Jonathan said. He shook his head slowly. That was someone who studied seriously. For years. That was professional level playing. He paused. What happened to you? Maya felt her throat tighten. She did not want to cry in front of these strangers. It's a long story, she said. I have time, Jonathan said. He glanced at his associates. Give us a minute. The others looked surprised, but they nodded and walked toward the elevator. They kept looking back at Maya as they left. When they were gone, Jonathan turned back to Maya. His expression had completely changed. He no longer looked amused or skeptical. He looked serious, maybe even concerned. You won the bet, he said. I'll buy you dinner. But I want to know your story. Will you tell me? Maya was tired. She was still cold and wet. Her hands were shaking, and she did not know if it was from the cold or from the emotions of playing again. Part of her wanted to just take the food and leave. She did not owe this rich man her story. She did not owe him anything. But another part of her was so tired of being alone, so tired of keeping everything inside. When was the last time someone had asked about her? Really asked and really cared about the answer? Okay, Maya whispered. I'll tell you. Jonathan nodded. He walked toward the door and held it open. Come on, he said. Let's go back to that restaurant. You need to eat. And I need to hear this. Maya walked toward the door. As she passed the piano, she let her fingers trail across its smooth surface one more time. She did not know if she would ever touch a piano again after tonight. She wanted to remember how it felt. They walked out into the rain together. The street was darker now. Evening had turned to night. But somehow Maya felt a little bit of hope inside her chest. It was a small feeling, like a tiny candle flame in the dark. She was afraid to trust it, afraid it would go out. But for now, just for now, it was there, and that was enough. They walked back to the restaurant through the rain. Jonathan walked beside Maya this time, not in front of her. He held an umbrella over both of them. It was the first time in months that Maya had been under an umbrella in the rain. It felt strange, almost uncomfortable. She had gotten used to getting wet. When they reached the restaurant, the host at the front desk looked at Maya with surprise and concern. Her clothes were dirty and wet. She did not belong in a place like this. Everyone could see that. But Jonathan spoke before the host could say anything. "Table for two, please. Somewhere private if you have it." The host hesitated for just a moment. Then he looked at Jonathan's face and seemed to recognize him. His expression changed immediately. "Of course, Mr. Chen, right this way." They were led to a corner table near the back of the restaurant. It was quiet here, away from the other diners. The table had a white cloth on it. There were fancy folded napkins and 3 forks at each place. Maya did not know which fork to use for what. She had been to nice restaurants before, but that felt like a lifetime ago. She sat down carefully, afraid she would break something. Everything looked so delicate and expensive. The chair was comfortable. Too comfortable. Maya sat very still, trying not to get the chair dirty with her wet clothes. A waiter came to their table. He did not look at Maya. He kept his eyes on Jonathan. "What can I get for you this evening, Mr. Chen?" "Bring us 2 of your best steaks," Jonathan said. "Medium rare, with all the sides. And whatever soup you have today, and bread. Lots of bread." He looked at Maya. "What do you want to drink?" Maya's throat was dry. "Water is fine. Bring her a hot chocolate too," Jonathan said to the waiter. "And water for both of us." The waiter nodded and walked away. Maya stared at the table. She could not believe this was happening. Just an hour ago, she was sitting on a cold sidewalk. Now she was in a warm restaurant with food coming. "Real food, steak, so," Jonathan said, leaning back in his chair. "Tell me who you are." "Your real story." Maya took a deep breath. Where should she start? "My name is Maya Rodriguez," she said quietly. "I'm 19 years old. I've been homeless for almost 2 years. "That's what you are now," Jonathan said. "I want to know who you were before. Someone who plays Chopin like that doesn't come from nowhere." Maya looked up at him. He was watching her carefully. His eyes were not unkind, but they were intense, like he was trying to figure out a puzzle. The waiter came back with their drinks. He placed a mug of hot chocolate in front of Maya. Steam rose from it. It smelled like heaven. Maya wrapped her cold hands around the warm mug. The heat felt good against her skin. "I grew up in Queens, New York," Maya began. "My mother was a music teacher. She taught piano lessons from our apartment. I don't remember a time when there wasn't music in our home." She took a small sip of the hot chocolate. It was sweet and warm and perfect. She had to force herself not to drink it all at once. "My mother started teaching me piano when I was 4 years old," Maya continued. "She said I had a gift. By the time I was 7, I was playing pieces that teenagers played. By the time I was 10, I was playing in competitions." Jonathan nodded slowly, listening. He had not touched his water. He was completely focused on her story. "When I was 12, my mother took me to audition for Juilliard pre-college," Maya said. The memory made her chest hurt. "It's a program for talented young musicians. On Saturdays, you take classes and lessons there. It's very hard to get in." "Did you get in?" Jonathan asked, though his tone suggested he already knew the answer. "Yes," Maya said. "I got a scholarship. Full scholarship because my mother couldn't afford the tuition. For the next 5 years, every Saturday I would take the subway from Queens to Manhattan. I would spend all day at Juilliard, taking lessons, practicing, studying music theory." The waiter brought bread to their table. It was warm and came with butter. Maya's hand shook as she reached for a piece. She forced herself to take small bites, to eat slowly. Her stomach wanted her to stuff the whole piece in her mouth, but she knew that would make her sick. She had not eaten in so long. "Those were the best years of my life," Maya said softly. "I had friends who loved music as much as I did. I had teachers who believed in me. I had a future planned out. After high school, I was going to apply to Juilliard for college. My teachers said I had a good chance of getting in, maybe even another scholarship." "What happened?" Jonathan asked gently. Maya was quiet for a moment. This was the hard part, the part she did not like to think about. "My mother got sick," she finally said. "Cancer. Lung cancer, even though she never smoked a day in her life. It happened so fast." She took another sip of hot chocolate, but now it tasted bitter. Everything tasted bitter when she thought about her mother's illness. "I was 17, Maya said. "It was my senior year of high school. My mother tried to keep working, tried to keep teaching piano lessons, but she got weaker and weaker. The medical bills piled up. We had insurance, but it didn't cover everything. It never covers everything. Jonathan's expression had changed. He looked sad now. "I'm sorry," he said. Maya shrugged, trying to act like it did not hurt to talk about it. But it did. It hurt so much. "She died 3 weeks before my high school graduation," Maya said. Her voice was flat now, like she was talking about someone else's life. "I was 17, no father. He left when I was a baby. No other family. My mother was an only child, and her parents were already dead." The soup came. It was French onion soup with melted cheese on top. It smelled amazing. Maya picked up her spoon and ate slowly. Each bite was warm and rich and delicious. She had dreamed about food like this. "What did you do?" Jonathan asked. "I stayed in our apartment for a while," Maya said between bites of soup. "I used the little bit of money my mother had saved. I graduated high school. I even got accepted to Juilliard for college. But there was no money for tuition. The scholarship I got wasn't enough. It covered tuition but not housing or food or books, and I couldn't keep our apartment. The rent was too high." She finished her soup and set down the spoon. Her stomach already felt better. The warmth was spreading through her body. "I tried to find work," Maya continued, "but I was 18 with no job experience. Nobody wanted to hire me. The money ran out. I lost the apartment. For a while I stayed in shelters. Then I moved to Seattle. I thought maybe a new city would give me a fresh start. But it was the same story here. No job, no home. Just streets." Jonathan was quiet for a long moment. He seemed to be thinking about something. Finally, he spoke. "My parents came to America from Taiwan when I was 3 years old," he said. "They worked 3 jobs between them. My father worked in a restaurant kitchen. My mother cleaned houses. We lived in a tiny apartment with 2 other families." Maya looked at him with surprise. She had not expected him to share his own story. "They did all that so I could have opportunities," Jonathan continued. "So I could go to a good school, get a good education, make something of myself." He paused. "I built my company from nothing. I know what it's like to start with less than nothing. But I had something you didn't have. I had people supporting me. I had a safety net. The main course arrived. 2 large steaks with roasted vegetables, mashed potatoes, and salad." Maya stared at her plate. It was more food than she had seen in weeks, maybe months. "Eat," Jonathan said, "please. Don't let it get cold." Maya cut into the steak. It was cooked perfectly. The first bite melted in her mouth. She had to stop herself from crying. Food had never tasted this good. Or maybe she had just forgotten what real food tasted like. They ate in silence for a while. Maya focused on her food, trying to eat at a normal pace. Jonathan ate slowly too, watching her from time to time. "Can I ask you something?" Jonathan finally said. Maya nodded, her mouth full of mashed potatoes. "Why didn't you go to a social services office? There are programs for young people in your situation, foster care even at 17, housing assistance, food stamps. Why live on the streets?" Maya swallowed her food. This was a question people always asked when they found out her story. They always thought there must be an easy solution she had missed. "I tried," Maya said. "I went to social services in New York. They said I was too old for foster care. I was already 17, almost 18. They put me on waiting lists for housing assistance. Do you know how long those waiting lists are? Years. They gave me information about shelters. I stayed in shelters for months." She took a drink of water. "But shelters aren't safe. People steal your stuff while you sleep. Some people are dangerous, and you can't stay in most shelters during the day. They kick you out in the morning and you can't come back until night. So where do you go all day? You walk around. You try to find somewhere warm. You try to stay invisible." Jonathan listened carefully. He did not interrupt or try to offer simple solutions. Maya appreciated that. "I got tired of being afraid all the time in shelters," Maya said. "So I started sleeping outside. In parks, under bridges, and doorways. It sounds crazy, but sometimes the streets felt safer than the shelters. At least outside I could run if I needed to. I could control my own space." She looked down at her plate. Most of the food was gone. Her stomach felt full for the first time in so long. "And after a while you disappear," Maya said quietly. "Nobody sees you anymore. You become invisible. Just another homeless person on the street. Another problem for society to ignore." "I see you," Jonathan said. Maya looked up at him. His expression was serious and sad at the same time. "I see you," he repeated. "And I'm sorry I laughed at you earlier. I'm sorry I made that stupid bet. You deserved better than that." Maya did not know what to say. People usually did not apologize to her. People usually did not see her as a person who deserved apologies. You have a gift, Jonathan continued. A real gift. The way you played that piano tonight, that was extraordinary. That kind of talent shouldn't be wasted. Shouldn't be forgotten. Talent doesn't matter if you're starving, Maya said bitterly. Talent doesn't pay rent. No, Jonathan agreed. But maybe it can. Maybe there's a way. Maya felt her guard go up. She had learned to be suspicious of people who said they wanted to help. Usually they wanted something in return. What do you mean? Jonathan leaned forward. I have a daughter, he said. Emma. She's 10 years old. Her mother, my wife, died 3 years ago. Car accident. I'm sorry, Maya said softly. Jonathan nodded. Thank you. Emma has been taking piano lessons since she was 5. Her mother started teaching her. After my wife died, I hired the best piano teachers I could find. 3 different teachers in 3 years. But Emma doesn't care anymore. She plays because I tell her to, but there's no heart in it. No passion. She's just going through the motions. He paused, choosing his words carefully. When I watched you play tonight, I saw something I haven't seen in a long time. I saw someone who plays from the soul, who understands what music really means. Emma needs a teacher like that. Someone who can help her fall in love with music again. Maya's heart started beating faster. Was he offering what she thought he was offering? I want to hire you to teach Emma piano, Jonathan said. I'll pay you a fair wage. And I have a studio apartment above my garage. It's small, but it's furnished. It has a bathroom and a little kitchen. You can live there. No rent, Maya stared at him. This could not be real. Things like this did not happen to people like her. Why would you do that? She asked. You don't know me. I could be dangerous. I could steal from you. Could you? Jonathan asked calmly. No, Maya admitted. But you don't know that. I'm a good judge of character, Jonathan said. I built a successful company by knowing who to trust. And I trust you. I don't know why, but I do. Maya felt like she could not breathe. A home, a job, a chance to play piano again, to teach music. It was everything she had lost. Everything she thought was gone forever, but she was afraid. Afraid to hope. Afraid to trust. Afraid that this was all a dream and she would wake up on a cold sidewalk. This isn't charity, Jonathan said, as if reading her mind. This is a job. I need a piano teacher for my daughter. You need work and housing. It's a fair exchange. You'll earn everything I give you. Maya's hands were shaking. She put them in her lap so Jonathan would not see. What if I'm not good at teaching? She asked. What if Emma doesn't like me? We'll try it for 1 month, Jonathan said. If it doesn't work out, no hard feelings. But I think it will work. I think you're exactly what Emma needs. Maya closed her eyes. In her mind, she heard her mother's voice. Her mother had always told her that when God closes a door, he opens a window. Maya had stopped believing that after her mother died. But maybe, just maybe, it was true. She opened her eyes and looked at Jonathan. Okay, she said quietly. I'll do it. But I have one condition. What's that? This is a professional arrangement, Maya said firmly. I'm not your charity project. I'm your employee. I'll work hard and earn my pay. But I won't accept pity. Jonathan smiled. It was a real smile this time, not the mocking smile from before. Deal, he said. He held out his hand across the table. Maya looked at her hand. It was dirty and rough. His hand was clean and smooth. But she reached out anyway and shook his hand. Deal, she said. They finished their dinner in more comfortable silence. The waiter brought dessert even though they had not ordered it. Chocolate cake with raspberry sauce. Maya ate every bite. When they were done, Jonathan paid the bill. They walked out into the rain again. It was still coming down hard. The streets were empty now. Most people had gone home for the night. My car is parked at the office, Jonathan said. Come on, let's go get it and I'll drive you to my house. You can move into the studio tonight. Get a shower and a good night's sleep. Maya followed him back toward the office building. With each step, she felt like she was walking into a different life, leaving the old Maya behind on those cold streets. She did not know if this would work out. She did not know if she could do this job. She did not know if Jonathan's daughter would like her or if this arrangement would last. But for the first time in 2 years, Maya had hope. Real hope. Not the tiny candle flame from before, but something bigger. Something brighter, and tonight that was enough. Jonathan's car was a black luxury sedan. It was parked in a private parking garage under his office building. The inside smelled like leather and was spotlessly clean. Maya hesitated before getting in. Her clothes were wet and dirty. She would ruin the seats. "Don't worry about it," Jonathan said, seeing her hesitation. "It's just a car, get in." Maya climbed into the passenger seat. It was the most comfortable seat she had sat in for years. The car started with a quiet hum. Warm air began flowing from the vents. Maya held her hands up to the air, warming her frozen fingers. They drove through the dark, rainy streets of Seattle. Maya watched the city pass by through the window. She had walked these streets for so long. She knew every corner, every doorway where you could sleep without being bothered. Every place where you could find free food. Every spot where the police would not chase you away. But tonight she was not looking at the city through the eyes of a homeless person. Tonight she was in a warm car, going to a home. It felt unreal. They drove for about 20 minutes. The buildings got smaller and farther apart. They were leaving the downtown area. Soon they were in a neighborhood with large houses and tall trees. Even in the rain and dark, Maya could see how beautiful it was here. Jonathan turned into a driveway. The house was big, made of brick and wood. Warm light glowed from the windows. There was a large yard with a well-kept lawn. A separate building stood to the side of the main house. It looked like a garage with an apartment on top. "That's where you'll be staying," Jonathan said, pointing to the building. "The studio apartment. Let me show you the main house first. I want you to meet Emma." They got out of the car and walked to the front door. Jonathan unlocked it, and they went inside. The house was beautiful. Hardwood floors, comfortable furniture, and family photos on the walls. It was warm and clean and smelled like home. Maya's throat got tight. She had not been inside a real home in so long. "Emma," Jonathan called out, "I'm home." A woman in her 50s came from the kitchen. She had gray hair and kind eyes. She looked at Maya with surprise. "Mr. Chen," she said carefully. "I wasn't expecting a guest." "Mrs. Park, this is Maya Rodriguez," Jonathan said. "She's going to be Emma's new piano teacher. She'll be living in the studio apartment. Maya, this is Mrs. Park. She's our housekeeper and cook. She also helps look after Emma when I'm at work." Mrs. Park's eyes widened slightly, but she recovered quickly. She was clearly used to Jonathan making unexpected decisions. "It's nice to meet you, Maya," she said politely. But her eyes showed concern as she looked at Maya's dirty, wet clothes. "Where's Emma?" Jonathan asked. "In her room, doing homework," Mrs. Park said. "Dinner was an hour ago. Should I prepare something for your guest?" "No, thank you. We already ate," Jonathan said. "I'll go get Emma. Maya, wait here." Jonathan went upstairs. Maya stood awkwardly in the entrance hall, dripping water onto the clean floor. Mrs. Park looked at her with a mix of kindness and worry. "Would you like a towel, dear?" Mrs. Park asked gently. "Yes, please," Maya whispered. Mrs. Park left and came back with a large, soft towel. Maya dried her face and hair. The towel smelled clean, like fresh laundry. It was such a simple thing, but it almost made Maya cry. Footsteps came from upstairs. Jonathan appeared first, then a young girl followed him slowly. This was Emma. Emma Chen was small for 10 years old. She had long black hair that hung straight down her back. She wore glasses with purple frames. Her expression was cautious and a little bit sad. She looked at Maya with careful eyes. "Emma, this is Miss Maya," Jonathan said. "She's going to be your new piano teacher." Emma did not smile. She just nodded slightly. "Hello," she said quietly. "Hi, Emma," Maya said. She tried to smile, but she was suddenly very nervous. This little girl had everything. A beautiful home, nice clothes, a father who loved her. What could Maya, who had nothing, possibly teach her? "Miss Maya is an incredible piano player," Jonathan continued. "She studied at Juilliard. She's going to help you fall in love with piano again." "Okay," Emma said. She did not sound excited or interested. She just sounded tired. An awkward silence filled the hall. Emma stared at the floor. Jonathan looked between Maya and his daughter. clearly hoping for more of a connection. Mrs. Park watched from the kitchen doorway. "It's late," Jonathan finally said. "Emma, you should get ready for bed. Maya, let me show you to the studio." Emma turned and went back upstairs without another word. Jonathan watched her go with a sad expression on his face. Then he turned to Maya. "She's not usually rude," he said. "She's just been through a lot. 3 teachers in 3 years. She probably thinks you'll leave too." "I understand," Maya said softly. They went back outside into the rain. Jonathan led Maya to the garage building. They climbed the stairs on the outside to reach the apartment above. Jonathan unlocked the door and turned on the light. The studio apartment was small but perfect. There was a bed with clean white sheets, a small kitchen area with a stove, sink, and refrigerator, a table with 2 chairs. A door led to a tiny bathroom. The walls were painted a soft cream color. Everything was clean and simple. Maya stood in the doorway, unable to move. She could not believe this was real. "The bathroom has towels and soap," Jonathan said. "Mrs. Park stocked the kitchen with basic groceries this afternoon while we were at dinner. I called her from the restaurant. There's bread, eggs, milk, coffee, some fruit. Tomorrow we can get you whatever else you need." Maya still could not speak. She was afraid if she tried to talk, she would start crying. Jonathan walked to a dresser against the wall and opened the top drawer. "My wife's old clothes are in here. You're about the same size she was. Please, use whatever you need until we can get you your own clothes." Now Maya did start crying. She could not help it. Tears ran down her cheeks. She covered her face with her hands. "Hey," Jonathan said gently. "It's okay. You're safe now." "Why are you doing this?" Maya asked through her tears. "Why are you being so kind to me?" Jonathan was quiet for a moment. "I told you about my parents," he said. "How they came to America with nothing. How they worked so hard to give me opportunities. Someone helped us once when I was young. A teacher who saw I was smart and helped me get into a good college. She wrote my recommendation letters. She even helped pay for my first year of tuition." He paused, looking out the small window at the rain. "I asked her once why she did that for me. Why she cared. She said that's what people with more should do for people with less. Pass on the kindness. I've never forgotten that." Maya wiped her eyes. "I'll pay you back," she said. "Somehow. Someday." "You'll pay it forward," Jonathan said. "That's how it works. Help my daughter. And someday when you can, help someone else who needs it." He walked to the door. "Get some rest. Tomorrow morning come to the main house around 9. I'll introduce you to Emma properly and we can talk about the lesson schedule, okay?" Maya nodded, not trusting herself to speak. "Good night, Maya," Jonathan said. Then he left, closing the door softly behind him. Maya stood in the middle of the studio apartment looking around. It was really hers. At least for now. At least for 1 month. She walked slowly to the bed and sat down. The mattress was soft. The sheets were clean. There was a pillow with a pillowcase that smelled like lavender. She stood up and walked to the bathroom. The shower had hot water. There were towels, shampoo, soap, even a new toothbrush still in its package. Maya turned on the shower and waited for it to get hot. She took off her dirty, wet clothes and stepped under the water. The heat felt incredible against her skin. She stood there for a long time, just letting the water pour over her. 2 years of dirt and shame and suffering seemed to wash away down the drain. She shambled her hair 3 times. She scrubbed her skin until it was red. She wanted to wash away every memory of the streets, every cold night, every hungry day, every moment of fear and loneliness. Finally, she got out and dried herself with a soft towel. She looked at herself in the mirror. She looked so different clean. Her face was thinner than it used to be. There were dark circles under her eyes. But she was still herself. Still Maya. She went to the dresser and opened the drawer. Inside were women's clothes, neatly folded. Shirts, pants, sweaters. Maya found a pair of pajamas, soft and warm. She put them on. They fit perfectly. She went to the kitchen and opened the refrigerator. Light spilled out. Inside was food. Real food. Eggs, milk, cheese, fruit, vegetables. She grabbed an apple and bit into it. It was crisp and sweet. She ate it slowly, savoring every bite. When she finished, she went back to the bed. She pulled back the covers and climbed in. The sheets were cool and smooth against her skin. The pillow was soft under her head. The blanket was warm and heavy. Maya lay there in the darkness, listening to the rain on the roof. She was warm. She was clean. She was safe. Her stomach was full. She had a bed to sleep in. For the first time in 2 years, Maya cried tears of relief instead of despair. She cried for everything she had lost. She cried for everything she had survived. And she cried because maybe, just maybe, she was going to be okay. She fell asleep quickly and slept deeply, without fear, for the first time in so long. When Maya woke up the next morning, she was confused for a moment. Where was she? Then she remembered. The studio apartment, Jonathan, Emma, the piano. It was all real. Sunlight was streaming through the window. The rain had stopped. Maya sat up and looked around. In the daylight, the apartment looked even better. Clean and bright and safe. She got up and made coffee in the small kitchen. She found bread and made toast. She sat at the little table and ate breakfast slowly, still not quite believing this was her life now. At 9 o'clock, she left the studio and walked to the main house. Her heart was beating fast. Today she would meet Emma properly. Today she would start her new job. What if she failed? What if Emma did not like her? What if she could not do this? She knocked on the front door. Mrs. Park answered. The housekeeper's expression was warmer today. Good morning, Maya, she said. Come in. Mr. Chen is waiting for you in the living room. Maya followed her inside. Jonathan was sitting on a couch, drinking coffee and reading something on his tablet. He looked up and smiled when he saw Maya. Good morning. Did you sleep well? Better than I have in years, Maya said honestly. Good, Jonathan said. He stood up. Emma is in the piano room. I had it set up a few years ago. It's just off the living room. Let me show you. They walked through the living room to a set of French doors. Jonathan opened them to reveal a beautiful room with large windows, hardwood floors, and in the center a beautiful upright piano. Emma sat at the piano, her back straight, her hands positioned on the keys. She was playing scales up and down, mechanical and perfect. There was no emotion in it, no joy. She was just doing what she was told to do. Maya's heart broke a little. She knew that feeling. The feeling of doing something you once loved because you have to, not because you want to. Emma finished her scales and turned around. She saw Maya and her expression became guarded again. Hello, she said politely. Hi, Emma, Maya said. She walked into the room slowly, not wanting to invade the girl's space too quickly. Emma, I need to go to the office for a few hours, Jonathan said. I'll be back this afternoon. You and Miss Maya can get to know each other. Maybe have your first lesson. Emma nodded. Jonathan squeezed his daughter's shoulder gently, then left the room. Maya heard the front door close a minute later. Then there was silence. Maya and Emma looked at each other. The girl's eyes were dark and sad. She was waiting for Maya to tell her what to do. Waiting for another adult to give her instructions and expect perfection. But Maya did not do that. Instead, she walked over to the piano bench and sat down next to Emma. Not too close, but close enough. Can I tell you a secret? Maya asked quietly. Emma looked surprised. Okay, she said. I haven't played piano in almost 2 years, Maya said. Until last night when I played in your dad's office building. And you know what? I was terrified. My hands were shaking. I thought I would mess up and embarrass myself. Emma was listening now, really listening. But you played perfectly, she said. My dad told me. He said you were amazing. I played well because I wasn't playing for anyone else, Maya said. I was playing for me. I was playing because I needed to. Because music was the only way I could say what I was feeling. She looked at Emma carefully. When you play, who are you playing for? Emma was quiet for a long moment. My dad, she finally said. He wants me to be good at piano. Like my mom was. Do you want to be good at piano? Maya asked. Emma's eyes filled with tears. I don't know, she whispered. I used to love it. My mom taught me. We would play together. She made it fun. But after she died, it just hurt to play. It reminded me of her. And all my teachers just wanted me to practice scales and play perfectly. They didn't understand. I understand, Maya said softly. I lost my mom too. Every time I played piano after she died, I thought about her. Sometimes it hurt so much I couldn't breathe. Emma looked up at Maya with wide eyes. Really? Really, Maya said. But you know what I learned? Music isn't just about playing notes perfectly. Music is about feelings. Happy feelings, sad feelings, angry feelings. All of them. When we play music, we're telling a story without words. She gestured to the piano. Your mom didn't teach you piano so you could play perfect scales. She taught you so you could express yourself, so you could take all those feelings inside you and let them out through the music. Emma was crying now, silent tears running down her cheeks. I miss her so much, she said. I know, Maya said. I miss my mom too. And that's okay. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to miss her. The other teachers got mad when I cried during lessons, Emma said. I won't get mad, Maya promised. Crying is just another way of expressing feelings. Just like music is. Emma wiped her tears with the back of her hand. Will you teach me to play like you did last night? To play with feelings? Maya smiled. It was the first real smile she had smiled in so long. Yes, she said. That's exactly what I'll teach you. But first I need to know something. What makes you happy? Emma thought about it. I like drawing, she said. And I like my cat, Mochi, and I like movies. Especially funny movies. What makes you sad? Missing my mom. And when my dad works too much and I don't see him. What makes you angry? Emma looked down. When people treat me like I'm going to break because my mom died. Like I'm not strong, Maya nodded. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to learn music that matches those feelings. Happy music for when you think about Mochi and movies. Sad music for when you miss your mom. Angry music for when you're frustrated. And you're going to play those pieces the way you feel them, not the way someone tells you to feel them. Emma's eyes were bright now. Really? Really, Maya said. No more boring scales unless you want to do them. No more playing perfectly. We're going to play with our hearts. For the first time since Maya had met her, Emma smiled. It was a small smile, but it was real. Can we start now? She asked. Absolutely, Maya said. Show me what you can play. Emma turned back to the piano. She started playing a simple piece, a Mozart sonata. It was technically correct, but still mechanical. Maya listened carefully. When Emma finished, Maya said, That was very good. You know the notes perfectly. But let me ask you something. How does this piece make you feel? Emma thought about it. It feels happy. Like dancing. Exactly, Maya said. So play it like you're dancing. Imagine you're at a party and you're happy and free. Let your hands dance on the keys. Emma played the piece again. This time it was different. Her hands moved more freely. The notes had more energy. It was not perfect, but it was alive. Yes, Maya said excitedly. That's it? Do you feel the difference? Emma was smiling now, really smiling. Yes, it felt better that way. That's because you weren't just playing notes, Maya said. You were making music. They worked together for another hour. Maya taught Emma to think about emotions and stories while playing. She taught her to use the pedals to create different sounds and feelings. She taught her that making a small mistake was okay if the emotion was right. Emma absorbed everything like a sponge. She asked questions. She tried things. She even laughed a few times when she played a silly piece Maya showed her. When Jonathan came home that afternoon, he stopped outside the piano room door. He could hear music coming from inside. But it was different from any music he had heard Emma play before. It was full of life and joy. He opened the door quietly and looked inside. Emma was at the piano, playing with a huge smile on her face. Maya sat beside her, clapping and encouraging her. Emma hit a wrong note, and instead of stopping, she laughed and kept going. Jonathan felt his throat get tight. His daughter was happy, really happy. For the first time since her mother died, she was truly engaged in something. Maya looked up and saw him in the doorway. Emma turned around too. Dad, she said excitedly. Listen to this. She played a short, cheerful piece, her hands bouncing on the keys. That was beautiful, sweetheart, Jonathan said. His voice was thick with emotion. Miss Maya taught me to play with feelings instead of just playing notes, Emma said. She's the best teacher ever. Maya blushed. We just had a good first lesson, she said modestly. After Emma ran off to play with her cat, Jonathan pulled Maya aside. Thank you, he said quietly. I haven't seen her this happy in years. She just needed someone to understand her, Maya said. She's a wonderful kid. She is, Jonathan agreed. And you're a wonderful teacher. He paused. I think this is going to work out perfectly, Maya smiled. For the first time in a very long time, she believed him. Maybe this would work out. Maybe she really had found her way home. 3 weeks passed quickly. Maya fell into a routine that felt both strange and wonderful. Every morning she woke up in her studio apartment. She made breakfast in her small kitchen. Then she went to the main house to teach Emma piano. The lessons were going better than anyone had expected. Emma practiced every day without being asked. She was learning new pieces and playing with real emotion. The mechanical, lifeless playing was gone. Now when Emma played, you could hear the story in the music, but it was not just about piano anymore. Maya and Emma had become friends. After piano lessons, they would sit in the kitchen and talk while Mrs. Park made lunch. Emma told Maya about school, about her friends, about the book she was reading. Maya told Emma stories about New York, about Juilliard, about the music world. Emma asked questions about Maya's time on the streets, and Maya answered them honestly, but carefully. She did not want to scare the young girl, but she also did not want to lie. Emma listened with wide, serious eyes and said things like, "That must have been so scary, and I'm glad you're here now." Jonathan noticed the change in his daughter. Emma laughed more. She talked more at dinner. She seemed lighter, like a weight had been lifted from her shoulders. He often came home from work early just to listen to Emma's lessons. He would stand outside the piano room listening to the music and to Maya's patient, encouraging voice. One evening, Jonathan knocked on the door of Maya's studio apartment. She opened it, surprised to see him there. Usually they only talked in the main house. "Is everything okay?" Maya asked, worried that something was wrong. "Everything is fine," Jonathan said with a smile. "Better than fine, actually." "Can I come in for a minute?" "Of course," Maya said, stepping aside to let him in. Jonathan walked into the small apartment and looked around. Maya had made it her own. There were books stacked on the table, all of them about music and piano. A few pieces of sheet music were spread across the bed where she had been studying them. Fresh flowers sat in a jar on the windowsill. "I wanted to thank you," Jonathan said, turning to face her. "Emma is like a different child. She's happy again. I had almost forgotten what her real laugh sounded like. You've given that back to her, back to us." Maya felt her cheeks get warm. "I'm just doing my job," she said. "No," Jonathan said. "You're doing much more than that. You're helping my daughter heal. That's worth more than I can ever repay you for." He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out an envelope. "This is your first month's salary," he said, handing it to her. "Plus a bonus because you've exceeded every expectation." Maya took the envelope with shaking hands. She had not held money like this in so long. Real money from a real job. "Thank you," she whispered. "There's something else I want to talk to you about," Jonathan said. "The 1-month trial period is ending. I'd like you to stay permanently, as Emma's piano teacher and as her mentor. Whatever title you're comfortable with. I'll increase your salary and we can draw up a proper contract." Maya's heart jumped. Permanent. That meant this was not going to end. She had a home, a job, a future. "Yes," she said immediately. "Yes, I want to stay." "Good," Jonathan said with a genuine smile. "I was hoping you'd say that. Emma would have been devastated if you left." After Jonathan left, Maya sat on her bed and opened the envelope. Inside was a check. More money than she had seen in 2 years. More money than she had ever earned in her life. She stared at it, hardly believing it was real. She thought about all the things she could do with this money. She could buy new clothes. She could get her own phone. She could start saving for the future. Maybe eventually she could go back to school, finish her education. All the things that had seemed impossible just a month ago were suddenly possible again. That night, Maya slept peacefully, dreaming of music and second chances. The next morning, Maya was working with Emma on a difficult piece by Debussy. Emma was struggling with a complicated passage. Her hands kept tripping over the notes. "I can't do it," Emma said, frustrated. "It's too hard." "You can do it," Maya said calmly. "But you're thinking too much. Your fingers know what to do. Trust them. Close your eyes and feel the music instead of thinking about the notes." Emma closed her eyes and tried again. This time her hands moved more smoothly. She made it through the passage without any major mistakes. When she finished, she opened her eyes with excitement. I did it. See, Maya said. Your body remembers. You've practiced it enough. Now you just need to let it flow naturally. They were so focused on the music that neither of them heard the doorbell ring. They did not hear Mrs. Park answer the door. They did not hear the conversation in the hallway. They only looked up when someone appeared in the doorway of the piano room. It was a man with a camera. Behind him was a woman holding a notepad and recorder. They both smiled at Maya and Emma. I'm sorry to interrupt, the woman said. I'm Jennifer Marks from the Seattle Tribune. Is Maya Rodriguez here? Maya's blood ran cold. A reporter. A newspaper. How did they find her? Who are you? Emma asked, moving closer to Maya protectively. I'm a reporter, Jennifer said. I'm working on a story about homelessness in Seattle. I've been interviewing former homeless individuals, and I discovered that Maya here is quite an interesting case. A Juilliard student who ended up on the streets. Mrs. Park appeared behind the reporters, looking distressed. I'm sorry, Miss Maya, they said they were friends of Mr. Chen's. I let them in before I realized. It's okay. Mrs. Park, Maya said quietly, even though it was not okay at all. I'd love to interview you, Maya, Jennifer continued. Your story is inspiring. From piano prodigy to homeless to working for a prominent CEO, it's exactly the kind of human interest story people need to hear. I don't want to do an interview, Maya said firmly. I understand you're private, Jennifer said, still smiling. But your story could help other people in similar situations. It could inspire them, show them there's hope. I said no, Maya repeated. Please leave. Jennifer's smile faded a little. I've already gathered quite a bit of information about you from public records, from your time at Juilliard, from social services. I'm going to write the story either way. Don't you want to give your side? You need to leave now, Maya said, her voice shaking. This is a private home. The photographer raised his camera. There was a flash. He had taken a picture of Maya and Emma at the piano. Do not take pictures of my daughter, Maya said, standing up. She moved to stand between the camera and Emma. It's public interest, Jennifer said. The public has a right to know how their tax dollars are being spent on homeless services. Your story is part of that conversation. My story is mine, Maya said. Not yours, leave. Now. Mrs. Park had already pulled out her phone. I'm calling Mr. Chen, she said. The reporters realized they were not going to get cooperation. Jennifer nodded to the photographer and they turned to leave. The story runs this weekend, Jennifer called back over her shoulder. I'd still be happy to include a quote from you if you change your mind. When they were gone, Maya sank back down onto the piano bench. Her hands were shaking. Emma put her small hand on Maya's arm. Are you okay, Miss Maya? I'm fine, Maya lied. I'm sorry you had to see that. They were rude, Emma said. They shouldn't have taken your picture without permission. Mrs. Park came back into the room. Mr. Chen is on his way home, she said. He's very upset. He said he'll take care of this. But Maya knew there was nothing Jonathan could do. The reporter was right. If the information was public record, she could write the story. And once the story came out, everything would change. Jonathan arrived home within 30 minutes. He looked angry in a way Maya had never seen before. I'm so sorry, he said to Maya. I'll call my lawyers. We'll see what we can do. There's nothing you can do, Maya said quietly. If the information is public, they can publish it. But they took pictures in my private home, Jonathan said. Of my daughter? That's different. They'll probably just blur Emma's face, Maya said. She felt numb. She had known this peace was too good to last. Nothing good ever lasted in her life. Why do you look so scared? Jonathan asked gently. Your story is inspiring. People will see how far you've come. Maya shook her head. You don't understand. Once the story comes out, people will judge me. They'll judge you. They'll say you shouldn't have hired me, that I'm not qualified, that you're taking advantage of me, or that I'm taking advantage of you. They'll make it into something ugly. Let them talk, Jonathan said. I don't care what people think. But I do, Maya said. Her voice broke. I've worked so hard to build something here, to feel normal again. Once that story publishes, everyone will know. The neighbors, Emma's school, your business partners. Everyone will look at me differently. Emma was crying now. I don't care what anyone says, she said fiercely. You're the best teacher and the best friend I have. I don't care if you were homeless. I care that you're here now. Maya hugged Emma, fighting back her own tears. Thank you, sweetie, she whispered. The story came out that Saturday. It was on the front page of the local section. The headline read, "From Prodigy to Streets, the Rise and Fall and Rise of Maya Rodriguez." There was a photo of Maya at the piano with Emma. Though Emma's face was blurred out as Maya had predicted, the article told Maya's whole story. Her time at Juilliard, her mother's death, her time on the streets, and now her position working for Jonathan Chen, CEO of Chen Technologies. The article even included the story of how they met, with Jonathan's bet in his office lobby. Maya read the article on Jonathan's tablet. Every word felt like a punch to her stomach. It was all true, but seeing it written out like this, it felt like her life had been turned into entertainment for strangers. By Monday, the story had gone viral online. Local news channels picked it up. It spread to national news websites. Maya's name was everywhere. Homeless piano prodigy became a trending topic. Jonathan's phone rang constantly. His company's public relations team was fielding calls from reporters. Some of the calls were supportive. Some were critical. There were think pieces about homelessness, about mental health, about education, about privilege. Maya's story had become a lightning rod for all sorts of opinions. The company's board of directors called an emergency meeting. They were concerned about the publicity. Some board members questioned Jonathan's judgment. Why would he bring a homeless stranger into his home? Was this a publicity stunt? Was he exploiting Maya? What if something went wrong? Jonathan came home from that meeting looking tired and frustrated. He found Maya in the studio apartment. She was packing her few belongings into her old backpack. "What are you doing?" Jonathan asked, though he already knew the answer. "I'm leaving," Maya said without looking at him. "I'm causing too many problems for you." "For Emma, I should go." "No," Jonathan said firmly. "Absolutely not." "Your board is questioning you," Maya said. "People online are saying terrible things. Your competitors are using this to attack you. I'm ruining everything." "You're not ruining anything," Jonathan said. He walked over and gently took the backpack from her hands. "Sit down, please." Maya sat on the bed. She looked defeated. "Listen to me," Jonathan said, sitting beside her. "I made a choice to help you. I made a choice to hire you, and I would make the same choice again in a heartbeat. Do you know why?" Maya shook her head, not trusting herself to speak. "Because you've given my daughter something I couldn't give her," Jonathan said. "Hope, joy, a connection with someone who understands loss. You've helped her heal. That's worth more than any board meeting or angry opinion piece." "But your reputation," Maya started to say. "My reputation?" Jonathan interrupted. "I built this company from nothing. I've faced criticism before. I've faced doubters. They said I couldn't compete with the big tech companies. They said my ideas wouldn't work. But I proved them wrong. And I'll prove them wrong about this too." He stood up and walked to the window. "Tomorrow I'm calling a company-wide meeting. I'm going to address this head-on. I'm going to explain why I hired you. I'm going to talk about the values that matter to me, about second chances, about human dignity, about looking beyond circumstances to see potential." He turned back to Maya. "And if the board doesn't like it, they can replace me. But I won't apologize for helping you. I won't apologize for seeing your worth when others saw a homeless person." Maya felt tears running down her cheeks. "Why?" she asked. "Why do you believe in me so much?" "Because someone believed in me once," Jonathan said simply. "When I was young and had nothing. When I was just an immigrant kid with big dreams. A teacher saw past my broken English and my worn-out clothes. She saw potential. She gave me a chance. That chance changed my life." He sat back down beside Maya. "I see the same thing in you that she saw in me. Talent, determination, intelligence. You've survived things that would have broken most people. You've kept your humanity and your kindness through all of it. That's extraordinary." "I'm scared," Maya admitted. "I'm scared this will all fall apart. I'm scared I'll lose everything again." "I know," Jonathan said gently. "But running away won't protect you. It'll just take away everything good you've built here. Emma needs you, and I think you need us too." Maya thought about Emma, about their piano lessons, about the way Emma's face lit up when she learned something new, about how Emma had stood up for her when the reporters came, about the friendship they had built. She thought about the piano, about making music again, about feeling useful and valuable, about having a purpose beyond just surviving. "Okay," she said quietly. "I'll stay, but only if you're sure. I don't want to cause you any more trouble." "You're not trouble," Jonathan said with a smile. "You're family." The word hit Maya hard. Family. She had not had a family in so long. The idea that she could be part of one again seemed impossible. But looking at Jonathan's sincere face, she wanted to believe it. "Thank you," she whispered. "No," Jonathan said, standing up. "Thank you. For giving Emma her smile back. For bringing music into this house again. For reminding me what really matters." He headed toward the door, then paused. "Get some rest tonight. Tomorrow might be rough, but we'll face it together." After he left, Maya unpacked her backpack. She put her few belongings back where they belonged. She looked around the small studio apartment. This was her home. These people were her family, and she was going to fight to keep them. Whatever came next, she would not run. Not this time. She had spent 2 years running, hiding, surviving. Now it was time to stand her ground. To believe she deserved the second chance. To trust that she was strong enough to handle whatever challenges came. Maya went to bed that night still scared, but also determined. The story was out there. The world knew who she was and where she had been. But that did not define who she was becoming. Tomorrow would be difficult. But she would face it. Not alone, but with people who believed in her. With Jonathan, who had seen past her circumstances. With Emma, who had accepted her without judgment. With Mrs. Park, who had shown her quiet kindness every day. She was not the homeless girl anymore. She was Maya Rodriguez, piano teacher, mentor, friend, and she was finally home. The morning of Jonathan's company meeting, Maya woke up early. She could not sleep well. Her stomach was in knots. She knew what today meant. Jonathan was going to address the entire company about her. He was going to stand up for his decision to hire her. Despite all the criticism, she got dressed carefully, choosing a simple blue sweater and black pants from the clothes that had belonged to Jonathan's late wife. She looked at herself in the mirror. She looked so different from the wet, desperate girl who had sat outside that restaurant just a few weeks ago. But inside, she still felt vulnerable. There was a knock on her door. Maya opened it to find Emma standing there, still in her pajamas. Her eyes were red like she had been crying. "What's wrong, sweetie?" Maya asked, kneeling down to Emma's level. "I heard some girls at school talking yesterday," Emma said, her voice small. "They said mean things about you, about how you were homeless. They said their parents said you shouldn't be teaching me." Maya's heart sank. She had known this would happen. Children heard their parents talk. They repeated what they heard. "I'm sorry you had to hear that," Maya said gently. "I don't care what they say," Emma said fiercely, tears running down her cheeks. "You're the best thing that's happened to me since Mom died. I don't want you to leave." "I'm not leaving," Maya promised, pulling Emma into a hug. "I'm staying right here. Promise?" Emma whispered against Maya's shoulder. "I promise," Maya said, and she meant it. No matter what happened today, she was not going to abandon this little girl. They walked to the main house together, hand in hand. Mrs. Park was in the kitchen making breakfast. She smiled when she saw them. "Good morning, girls," she said warmly. Over the past weeks, Mrs. Park had become more comfortable with Maya. She had stopped treating her like a stranger and started treating her like part of the family. "Mr. Chen already left for the office," Mrs. Park said. "He has that big meeting at 10. He asked if you would watch it. He's having it live streamed so you can see." Maya nodded. She was not sure she wanted to watch, but she felt like she owed it to Jonathan to be there, even if only virtually. At 10 o'clock, Maya and Emma sat in the living room with Mrs. Park. They opened the company's website on the television. The live stream started, showing a large conference room filled with employees. Maya recognized some of the people from that first night. The ones who had been at the restaurant with Jonathan. Jonathan stood at the front of the room, looking calm and confident. He waited for everyone to settle down, then began to speak. "Thank you all for coming," he said. "I know this meeting was called on short notice. I'm sure you've all seen the article in the Tribune. I'm sure many of you have questions about my decision to hire Maya Rodriguez. Some of you may have concerns. I want to address those concerns directly." The room was silent. Every eye was on Jonathan. "When I started this company 12 years ago," Jonathan continued, "I had a vision, not just to build successful technology, but to build a company with values. Values like innovation, integrity, and compassion. Those values have guided every decision I've made. He paused, letting his words sink in. 3 weeks ago, I met Maya outside a restaurant. She was homeless, hungry, and asking for money. Most people, including many of us in this room, walk past homeless people every day without seeing them, without acknowledging their humanity. Maya felt her face grow hot. She was not used to being talked about like this, especially in front of so many people. But something made me stop that night, Jonathan said. I noticed her hands. She had calluses that come from years of playing piano, so I made her a bet. I challenged her to play our lobby piano. If she could play well, I would buy her dinner. Some people in the audience nodded. They had heard this story. What happened next changed my perspective on a lot of things, Jonathan said, his voice becoming emotional. Maya sat down at that piano and played Chopin's Nocturne, and it was the most beautiful thing I had heard in years. Not because of technical perfection, though her technique was flawless, but because of the emotion, the soul, the depth of feeling. He looked directly at the camera as if speaking to Maya through the screen. In that moment, I realized I was not looking at a homeless person. I was looking at an incredibly talented musician who had been failed by the system, by circumstances beyond her control. A young woman who had lost her mother, her home, and her future, but who had never lost her gift. Emma squeezed Maya's hand. Maya was crying now, unable to hold back the tears. I hired Maya to teach my daughter piano, Jonathan continued. Some people have questioned that decision. They say I should have done background checks, that I was being reckless, that I was putting my daughter at risk. He paused, his jaw setting firmly. I did do a background check. What I found was a young woman with a perfect record. No criminal history, no drug use, just bad luck and a series of devastating losses. As for putting my daughter at risk, let me be clear. Maya has been nothing but a positive influence on Emma. Jonathan's voice grew stronger. For 3 years, my daughter has been going through the motions. Since her mother died, Emma has been lost, sad, disconnected. I hired 3 different piano teachers, all with impeccable credentials. None of them could reach her. But Maya did. In 3 weeks, Maya gave my daughter something I couldn't give her. She gave her joy again. The room was completely silent. Some people were nodding. Others looked thoughtful. So yes, I hired a homeless person, Jonathan said clearly. And I would do it again. Because I didn't hire a homeless person. I hired a talented, dedicated, compassionate teacher who happens to have experienced homelessness. There's a difference. He looked around the room. This company was built on the belief that everyone deserves a chance. That innovation comes from seeing potential where others see problems. That's how I got here. My parents were immigrants with nothing. People doubted them, doubted me. But someone gave us a chance. And look where we are now. Jonathan gestured to the room, to the company he had built. I believe in second chances. I believe in looking past circumstances to see the person underneath. And I believe that's what makes us different from our competitors. We don't just talk about values. We live them. He paused, his expression becoming serious. I understand some board members have concerns. I understand some of you may disagree with my decision, but I'm asking you to trust me. To trust that I know what I'm doing. And to trust that helping someone in need is never the wrong choice. Jonathan took a deep breath. There's one more thing I want to announce. Some of you know that my wife, before she passed away, was passionate about music education. She believed every child should have access to quality music instruction, regardless of their family's income. Maya leaned forward, wondering where this was going. In her memory and inspired by Maya's story, I'm establishing the Sarah Chen Foundation for Arts Education, Jonathan said. This foundation will provide scholarships and support for young people who want to pursue arts education but face financial barriers. Maya has agreed to help me run this foundation. She'll help identify talented students and provide mentorship. The room erupted in applause. Maya sat back, stunned. She had not known about this. Jonathan had not mentioned it to her. This is our chance to make a real difference, Jonathan said over the applause. To help people like Maya. To make sure talent isn't wasted because of circumstances. That's the kind of company I want to build. That's the kind of people I want to work with. He looked directly at the camera again. So to anyone who doubts my decision to hire Maya, I say this. Watch what she does. Watch how she helps my daughter. Watch how she helps other young people through this foundation. Then tell me I made the wrong choice. The meeting ended with more applause. The live stream cut off. Maya sat on the couch, unable to move. Her mind was racing. A foundation, in Sarah Chen's memory, and Jonathan wanted her to help run it. "Miss Maya, are you okay?" Emma asked, looking worried. "I think so," Maya said. "I just can't believe he did that. He didn't tell me." "That's because my dad likes surprises," Emma said with a smile. "Good surprises." The rest of the day passed in a blur. Maya's phone, which Jonathan had bought for her the week before, rang constantly. Supportive messages poured in. Some were from people she did not know, who had been touched by her story. Others were from Jonathan's employees, offering encouragement. But there were negative messages too. People who said she was taking advantage of Jonathan. People who said she was not qualified. People who said homeless people could not be trusted. Maya tried not to read those, but they still hurt. Jonathan came home that evening looking tired but satisfied. "I think that went well," he said. "You didn't tell me about the foundation," Maya said. "I wanted it to be a surprise," Jonathan said with a smile. "Do you hate the idea?" "No," Maya said. "I love it. I'm just overwhelmed. I don't know if I'm qualified to run a foundation." "You're more qualified than you think," Jonathan said. "You understand what these kids will be going through. You understand the barriers they face. And you understand music. That's what matters." Over the next few weeks, things slowly settled down. The viral attention faded as news stories took its place. Jonathan's board accepted his decision, though some members remained skeptical. The foundation began to take shape, with lawyers drawing up the paperwork and Maya starting to develop programs. 3 months after Maya first played piano in Jonathan's office lobby, the Sarah Chen Foundation hosted its first event. It was a small recital featuring young musicians from low-income families. Maya had helped select the performers and had even coached a few of them. The recital was held in a community center. About 100 people attended. Emma performed too, playing a piece she had composed herself called "Finding Home." She dedicated it to Maya. When Emma finished playing, the audience gave her a standing ovation. Emma took a bow, then gestured for Maya to stand up. Maya reluctantly stood, her face red. Emma ran over and hugged her in front of everyone. After the recital, people came up to Maya. Some thanked her for her work with the foundation. Others shared their own stories of struggle and recovery. One young girl, about 16, waited until most people had left before approaching Maya. "Excuse me, Miss Rodriguez?" the girl said nervously. "Please call me Maya," Maya said with a warm smile. "I'm Jasmine," the girl said. "I play violin. I'm pretty good, I think. But my family can't afford lessons anymore. My dad lost his job. I saw the article about you and I thought maybe you could help me." Maya felt her heart swell. This was exactly what the foundation was for. "Of course I can help you," she said. "Let's exchange contact information. I'll connect you with a violin teacher through our foundation. We'll make sure you can keep playing." Jasmine's eyes filled with tears. "Really? You mean it?" "I mean it," Maya said. "I know what it's like to have your music taken away from you. I won't let that happen to you." After Jasmine left, Jonathan appeared at Maya's side. "That was beautiful," he said. "You're already changing lives. One person at a time," Maya said with a smile. "That's how it starts," Jonathan agreed. 6 months after moving into the studio apartment, Maya stood in front of a mirror adjusting her dress. Tonight was a formal fundraiser for the foundation. She was nervous. There would be wealthy donors, prominent business people, and media. She would have to give a speech. Emma burst into the studio apartment without knocking, as she often did now. "Miss Maya, you look so pretty." Maya turned and smiled at Emma. The girl had grown in the past months. She was taller, more confident, more open. The sad, closed-off child was gone. In her place was a vibrant, happy 10-year-old who loved music and life. "Thank you, sweetie," Maya said. "Are you ready for tonight? You're performing, remember?" "I'm ready," Emma said confidently. "I'm not even nervous. You taught me that music is just telling a story, so tonight I'm telling my story." Mrs. Park appeared in the doorway. "The car is here," she said. "Mr. Chen is waiting downstairs." They all rode to the fundraiser together. It was being held at a beautiful hotel ballroom. When they arrived, Maya was struck by how different her life was now. 6 months ago, she would not have been allowed through the front door of a place like this. Now she was a guest of honor. The evening went smoothly. Maya gave her speech, talking about the importance of arts education and second chances. She shared her story, not shying away from the difficult parts. When she finished, the audience stood and applauded. Several people wiped tears from their eyes. Emma performed her composition, playing beautifully. Jonathan watched with obvious pride, not just for his daughter, but for Maya too. After Emma's performance, a slideshow played on a large screen. It showed photos of students the foundation had already helped. Jasmine, the violin player, was among them. At the end of the night, the foundation had raised over $200,000. It was more than they had hoped for. Maya stood with Jonathan, looking at the total on the display board, hardly believing it was real. "We did it," Jonathan said. "We're going to help so many kids." "You did it," Maya corrected. "You made this possible." "No," Jonathan said, turning to face her. "We did it. Together. You and me and Emma, we're a team." Emma, who had been talking to some other children, ran over and grabbed both of their hands. "Can we take a picture?" she asked. "The three of us?" They posed together, smiling. Emma in the middle, Jonathan on one side, Maya on the other. A photographer snapped the picture. Later, that photo would be framed and hung in the foundation's office. 1 year after Maya first sat on that cold sidewalk outside the restaurant, she stood in the same spot. But everything was different now. She wore a warm coat and comfortable shoes. Her hair was clean and styled. She had a home, a job, and a purpose. She was not here because she was homeless. She was here to meet Jasmine, the violin player. They were going to visit a music store to help Jasmine pick out a new violin. The foundation was buying it for her. As Maya waited, she thought about how much had changed. She thought about that night in the rain, when she had played piano for a mocking stranger. She thought about how close she had come to running away when the article came out. She thought about how scared she had been to hope, to trust, to believe things could get better. But they had gotten better, not because someone saved her, but because someone gave her a chance. Because someone saw her worth when she could not see it herself. Jasmine appeared, her face bright with excitement. "I can't believe we're buying a real violin," she said. "You've earned it," Maya said. "You've been working so hard." As they walked to the music store together, Maya thought about Jonathan's words from that first night. "You'll pay it forward," he had said. And that's what she was doing. Helping Jasmine the way Jonathan had helped her, creating a ripple of kindness that would keep spreading. That evening, Maya returned home. Not to a cold sidewalk or a shelter, but to her studio apartment. Emma was waiting for her, wanting to practice a new piece. They went to the piano room and worked together, making music, making progress, making memories. Later, as Maya walked back to her studio under the stars, she paused and looked up at the sky. "Thank you, Mom," she whispered. "I made it. I'm okay now," and she was. She was more than okay. She had found her way home, not just to a physical place, but to herself, to her music, to her purpose. She had learned that sometimes the darkest moments lead to the most beautiful transformations. That sometimes all it takes is one person who sees you, really sees you. Jonathan had seen her that rainy night. He had seen past her dirty clothes and desperate circumstances. He had seen her gift, her potential, her humanity, and in doing so he had given her the chance to see it in herself again. Maya climbed the stairs to her studio apartment. Inside, she found a note taped to her door. It was from Jonathan in his neat handwriting. "Thank you for being part of our family. Thank you for giving Emma her music back. Thank you for reminding me what really matters. You didn't just play the piano that night. You played your way into our hearts. Welcome home." Maya took the note inside and placed it on her bedside table. Then she sat on her bed and picked up her phone. She had started writing again, keeping a journal of her journey. Tonight, she wrote, "1 year ago, I had nothing. No home, no hope, no future. I was just trying to survive. Today, I have everything that matters. A home, a purpose, people who care about me, students who depend on me, a chance to make a difference. If you had told me a year ago that things would turn out this way, I wouldn't have believed you. But here I am, living proof that second chances are real, that kindness matters, that music heals, that home is not just a place but a feeling, the feeling of being seen, being valued, being loved. I am home." Maya closed her journal and got ready for bed. Tomorrow she had piano lessons to teach, foundation work to do, students to help, a life to live. She turned off the light and lay down in her comfortable bed. Outside, rain began to fall, tapping gently against the window. But Maya was warm and safe inside. And as she drifted off to sleep, she smiled, knowing that tomorrow would bring more music, more hope, and more chances to pay forward the kindness she had received. The homeless girl was gone. In her place was Maya Rodriguez, piano teacher, mentor, foundation director, friend, and family member. She had found her way back to herself. She had found her way home, and this time she was never leaving.